Good evening, fellow Forex traders. It is October 28th, 2018, Sunday evening here, and getting ready to kick off another week trading the markets. Let's get right into it. The big financial headline this weekend, I think came out today, just really recently. IBM announcing that they're acquiring Red Hat, $34 billion. So this is a big premium over what Red Hat is currently trading at here. Take a look at the chart real quick. Currently 116 on Friday's close. 190. It's that's all-time highs, and something like a 40% premium. So it's a little, I don't want to say head-scratching yet, but it's definitely interesting, right? You see NASDAQ futures trading up tonight, up 0.8% right now. Here's Friday's close. Here's the open tonight. Probably people starting to hope that, seeing big companies putting cash to work like this is a positive. They're not afraid to, start making moves and maybe kind of taking that as a signal that, this isn't going to be some bloodbath and, they see value here. But the odd part to me is that $190 per share, if you thought these companies were overvalued, a few weeks ago, and you're acquiring them for higher levels than what they were trading at then, it's, I don't know. Not something I find completely logical. This is IBM we're talking about. I don't want to badmouth them, but it's, they haven't, performed incredibly well over the years, if that's being, I think, generous. Let's just bump out to a weekly chart of IBM. So, pretty clear downtrend for the last, 5.5 years. Hope the dividend growth investors are enjoying themselves there at least. You could look at IBM and say not exactly smart money. You could look at it and spin it in a more positive light. I don't know which is correct. The market will let us know eventually. So definitely seeing some more upbeat attitude towards futures on that news would be my guess. But let's jump into what's happening in FX land. To kick off the week. Let's start with Euro. These are the pairs I like to kind of look at. About 7 pairs. Euro Sterling's sometimes on my list, sometimes not. I'm going to include it just because it gives us something else to look at that's not USD denominated. So here's the Euro. If you watched my video from Thursday night, I'll link to that in the write-up. I was hesitant about shorting Euro, even though the downtrend is clearly evident here. It's exactly what we want to be seeing, but it just started feeling overextended and not much more left on the bone there if you were trying to short in this zone. And sure enough, we saw a bump on Friday, kind of starting to get close to this, resistance level. I'm still not crazy about, hopping in here yet. I'm going to kind of wait and see what plays out a little longer, especially being Sunday night here, even get into Monday a little bit more. But we're definitely battling with, this is the 100-hour moving average, got that resistance here. So you know what? I don't hate a short here. I just feel like, I'm pretty committed to dollar-yen right now, and I don't want to get too much correlation going on with my trades at this point, unless I see something that I like, even, a cleaner setup. But it's not a bad trade, a stop above this level. Looking here for a drop to 113. It's pretty good risk reward. So definitely, if you're looking for something to get into, it's not bad, right? And if we lose that 113, timber. There's not a lot left to support it after that. So that's kind of my view on the Euro. I'm taking a wait and see. As you see, it's like just this daily. There's a lot of headspace here between the moving averages and current price. it seems like we could pop up in here. So I'm going to be a little more patient and see what happens. Like, you can draw a line. Let's get a horizontal coming through here, and you see there's touches. Let's blow this up a bit. There are touch here, pretty much a touch, kind of a touch here before it came down, came back up, more close touches here. So right from this kind of 115 to, we're talking 115.35, that's an interesting zone. If we got into that area, I'd probably definitely be looking for shorts, just depending on price action. There's only hesitation there, but I'm still a little bit hesitant at these levels. So I'm not touching it. Doesn't mean you can't touch it. So just something to think about. Know your risk, know your timeline, know what you're doing. Dollar CAD has been messy. I won't touch it. There's just no clear trend. There's no clear direction. You see a lot of just ping-ponging in this area. I had this rising wedge here, kind of broke through, but you just didn't see the reaction that you'd expect. This blue line goes way back, way back to 2016. So that's an interesting level that we've been kind of bouncing off. But again, there's no smart trade to be made here. So my advice: don't touch it. Wait for clearer opportunities. I mean, you are seeing this crossover here with the moving averages, so maybe we start seeing a break higher, but it's too immature yet to really stake any money on, in my opinion. So I think there's better opportunity out there. Aussie. I generally don't trade the Aussie because it moves so slow. And, that's not necessarily a negative, especially if you're a beginner. It's a great pair to start, cutting your teeth on. I had this rising wedge I showed on Twitter last week or the other week in this retest here, twice kind of into this level. And, I was of the opinion we'd see, lower prices. We have, but, you're still only coming off, what is this right now? 100 and not even 100 pips, 30 pips. What is this? It's terrible. So now, if you weren't trading in and out of this pretty consistently and just holding, you're not looking at a huge gain. And that's my problem with the Aussie in general. It's a slow mover, but this is a great downtrend right now. So if you're new to FX and, you want to trade smart, you could definitely play a short here. Stop losses here, stop loss even here if you wanted to ratchet down your position size and give yourself a little more breathing room, or maybe add come in half here and half here, stop loss up above this 200 bar moving average. So it's not a bad trend to play if it's a pair you like, or again if you're new, but it's just not super attractive to me right now. Dollar yen is basically my main focus, my only focus, I should say, right now until I see better setups elsewhere. I covered this a lot Thursday in that video, and again, I'm looking at this bear flag. It broke down Friday, but this nasty wick here was a bit disappointing. I wanted to see more follow-through, but, I sit back and I think about this, and as not bearish of a candle as that kind of is with that long of a wick, part of me is saying, this is going back to the complacency that I was talking about Thursday in the market, is that this is kind of demonstrating that you've got this big break and a big buyout, but, it's not that I think dollar yen is bullish or this is a reversal candle. I still think people are more in disbelief, and we're not quite ready to dump yet. I'm not sure if, that's going to change in the next 24 or 48 hours or even this week, especially if we get a wind tail here on this Red Hat acquisition. I should say tailwind, sorry. So it's hard to say, but you definitely see the MAs crossing over here, and so there's a lot of resistance in this zone. If you're not in this trade, anywhere I think from here up 112.20 area is a great short entry. again, with the risk reward being, you're up 112.70 somewhere, and again, I'm expecting a potential move down to 110. So again, your risk reward's great if the market's going to come to terms that this is a potentially real sell-off. It could be a fantastic trade. So that's where I'm staying still, and I like it a lot still. That's about all I can say there. Sterling, again, I mentioned this in Thursday's video, that I didn't see a lot of room to move lower based on this trend, and you see stochastic, or RSI, really just getting so negative, and you start seeing bull divergence and all that, and then this big level here at 120, about 128, we couldn't get below there. So a move up to 129.20, maybe even higher, it's definitely not out of the question, and I'd be looking for shorts there, absolutely. Yeah, but we've got resistance to contend with, obviously. The moving averages here. This line would be an interesting potential entry. A lot of people are probably looking at this 129.20 and saying, yeah, I want to short there. And that's kind of, sometimes the market says, it's too obvious and things turn sooner. So I'd look out for this trend line, see what happens in terms of price action if and when we get here or higher. But overall, the trend is, clearly down. Breakdown here. Again, we showed the daily on Thursday, big break of this trend line. So it's not a matter of if I'll be shorting this, it's a matter of when. Because it's a great trend and it's broken down, so it's time, it's on the move. I wouldn't, be surprised if we see this low tested at some point in the next week or two, 126.60-ish. So it's, great opportunity there, as long as you're patient and wait for the trade to come to you. Sterling yen, I was in shorts here a couple weeks ago from 147. Actually, it wasn't even that long ago. It was like last week. And right about here. And I got, probably more around here, I got shooken out when this popped up, and I didn't like the trade yet. I didn't end up getting back in. But what a drop we've seen there. With the lagging, dollar yen kind of lagging and dropping a bit, and just a steep decline in sterling, it's a perfect recipe for a big move. And that's what we've seen. So again, this has gone very far quickly, and shorting at this point in the game is not wise. You see this MACD starting to turn up, RSI is way oversold, showing that bull div, and a pop-up anywhere in this region. Remember, this is a super volatile pair, so you got to be careful and pick your spots, wisely. Make sure your stop losses are wider than you would normally have, which means a smaller position size, right? But again, maybe up in this area I'm looking for shorts, maybe even higher if it gets there. It's hard to say what happens, but I'll be watching this to see kind of how it reacts on a bump higher. But right now, it's just, to me, it's no good for a trade. There's no obvious entry unless you want to get risky, but that's not, playing this shorter time frames. But we're not in a position right now where you need to drill down to small time frames to try to make money, because there are good moves happening on the larger time frames. So Euro sterling is another really interesting chart. Like I said, I don't trade this pair a ton, but if you look, let's pop to the daily chart first. You had this kind of break higher out of this resistance back in June, run up, pull back, beautiful test. I've had this line drawn for months and months and months. I haven't moved it. So beautiful test here. I didn't trade this, and I watched this whole move higher, and we're breaking above this trend line resistance now, which is a great signal that we're probably going higher. So you've got this. It's not quite a perfect what I like to see. I like to see these MAs kind of stacked where the 50, the green one, and the 100 and the 200, green, yellow, red, like you see on the way down here, green, yellow, red, but reverse for the way up. You don't see that yet, but clearly it's happening, right? You've got the 50 curling up. It's, I'd say, 98% sure that it's going to cross the 200. The 100 is going to be crossing up. So I'm calling this, I'd be looking at this is probably an uptrend in development. But you have to pick your spot wisely here, or at least positions, sizes. If you're going to get in now, make sure you're stopped here or you're stopped here, and you're positioning your trade size accordingly. But I would expect to see a continuation of this move. How high is anyone's guess, but it's a great sign that this is ready to continue moving higher, and that's what we're seeing in just looking at go back to the euro. You see the euro is holding up much better than sterling. It's taking a beating. So of course, euro sterling is out. Is heading higher. If you think that trend's going to continue, if you think Brexit's going to continue weighing on the sterling and the euro is kind of escaping some of that noise, it's a great trade. But regardless of fundamentals, the technicals are telling you that this is moving higher. So, I'd love to say, hey, wait till a buy of this retest here, but it kind of retested that. Not saying we can't come down here again, but, make sure you're not, you have to make sure you're not chasing the trade, but make sure you're not, waiting so long that you don't get into. So I like this, but again, I'm more focused on dollar yen right now. I might take a trade in euro sterling along, but right now I'm just kind of sitting on my dollar yen trade, which actually looks like it's moving a little bit. A few pips, right? Big deal. I want to see what happens in the next couple of days with dollar yen before I get too many large positions on. I'm pretty stacked on dollar yen right now, so I want to over leverage myself, bite off more than I can chew, but that's kind of what I'm seeing today, guys. I'm excited about a new week, excited to see what the markets kind of do. The equity market's been super interesting, so hopefully it gives us some good volatility, some good trends to ride, and we have another good week of trading. I will be getting better microphone on a Wednesday, so my sound quality will be much improved, hopefully, and just kind of bear with me until then, and we'll continue putting some videos out and see how things go. So again, if you like it, let me know in the comments, email, Twitter, and hopefully everyone trades well this week.